You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek Unlimited.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek 152. Yes, I'm still on vacation. This is a pre-recorded episode, but because I just am that kind of person and I can't quit, I figured even though I'm not going to be recording the typical episodes, I still want to record. I still want to give you guys content. I still want to have that conversation with you guys. I will be checking my episode posts on geekcastradio.com to reply to your comments on the episodes, so still be sure to do that. Still connect with me on Twitter. I will be active on Twitter more so than the website during my vacation, just mostly at night. So, getting into that, we have a bunch of awesome that has happened over the past few weeks. I've been slowly cataloging stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't put it together in a nice document, so yeah. So we got, in awesome geeky news, we got Masterpiece 34 of Transformers that's kind of shown up in the media lately. And it's actually a really, really, really nice Cheetor figure. And for those of you that aren't familiar with any of the Cheetor figures that have come out, there's been about 12 that have come out for Beast Wars within its entirety, different forms and some of them variations of the same body. The unfortunate part with that is that they've never gotten the figure right. And when I say that, like, none of the gear, none of the transformations, none of it have looked 100% like the toy. And when we had the 30th anniversary of Transformers come out, we had a Rhinox figure, a Waspinator, and a Rat Trap that came out, and they looked spectacular. Looked pretty much Masterpiece, just at a smaller portion there. And then we've, of course, later this year got Masterpiece 32 Optimus Primal coming out in his Beast form, which I have pre-ordered, so I'll review that once it comes out, maybe on an Altered Geek Live Google Hangout or something. Yeah, so I got that, and then I'm wanting to pre-order that. You can get it at Hobby Elite Japan for $55 plus shipping. I'm sure it'll end up being about $70 when all is said and done, which is still relatively cheaper than like Big Bad Toy Store or any of the other like TF Source. They're going to be like $100 on those just by themselves. So yeah, definitely pre-order that. I'm going to get my hands on it hopefully. Because my goal at this point is I've not collected a Masterpiece figure since Masterpiece MP01 Optimus Prime, and I'm really looking forward to the Beast Wars because Beast Wars was my Transformers. It was the thing I grew up with. It was the thing I was interested in. So definitely excited about that. I'm hoping Megatron is next on the slate, but that's just because Megatron has never had a good figure at all, whereas Primal's had some pretty decent ones. Megatron has had some pretty crappy figures in Beast Wars other than the Dragon. So, that being said, moving on, we got news that Brie Larson is going to be playing Captain Marvel, which, if you remember in past episodes, we mentioned something about her being mentioned or rumored, and she's like, I know nothing about this character. And then at Comic-Con, they dropped news that she was going to play Captain Marvel. Which seems like a good fit, and people have photoshopped her in place, and so she'll be the first female-led Marvel hero, which I think will be cool. And she'll be like a top-tier character, so it'll be kind of nice to see her kind of come up as the new, like, essentially Captain America of this new like Phase 4 Marvel coming up. So that'll be really cool. And then, of course, we've talked ad nauseum about the Justice League trailer and the Wonder Woman trailer. Both, again, I'm looking forward to both. So yeah, I had some episodes, questions that were brought up, and I'm going to be jumping all over the place in this episode, so just bear with me. I'm very scatterbrained right now. I've just taken like an energy drink, so my brain is like, woo! So I'm all over the place. Um, so I kind of mentioned what's your favorite superhero or franchise film this year that's come out. And when I said that, I asked these things on Twitter and I haven't gotten any responses. Whereas the last two I got responses pretty much right away, which is how TFG1 Mike and I recorded that episode of Altered Geek. But for me, my favorite superhero film franchise that's come out, and I'm going to say this, it's going to be Deadpool. And yes, I know I'm kind of shying away from all of that disgusting humor and a lot of the swearing and everything, but I have to say that that is the most true to form hero film that we got this year. And it was, to me, the most enjoyable film of any superhero film. Yes, I liked Batman v Superman for strictly the Batman and Alfred and Wonder Woman scenes, but that film wasn't really that great. Captain America Civil War, anytime Spider-Man showed up, he stole the scene. Anytime, Tony Stark had something, I was on that. But the rest of the film, I mean, it was good. It was better than Batman v Superman, but I wouldn't say it was that much better than that. And then, of course, we've gotten X-Men Apocalypse, which was good, but again, it was another fight amongst yourselves film, like the two others we got this year. So again, it was nothing really that fresh. X-Men Apocalypse, Civil War, and Batman v Superman were essentially the same film, just done three different ways. And then, of course, we got, Ninja Turtles, which I really enjoyed this one a lot more than the previous one. This was a really good continuation. But I think it's because they added that touch of the 80s nostalgia and some of the 80s characters in, and updated them, but then mixed it with the new generation of stuff. And so it created this new hybrid Turtles that was really good. And then, of course, Jason Bourne. It's another franchise that I'm a favorite of. I saw that film. That's pretty good. I watched Suicide Squad despite my ranting. I'm not going to see this movie. I'm not going to see this movie. I'm not going to see this movie. Still, I watched it, and it was okay. There wasn't really any swearing. The Joker was annoying. I did like the explanation of why he has the metal grill for his teeth and for the damaged and all that, of stating that, and this was stated by the director after the film came out, was Batman essentially, after Harley and Joker killed Robin, Batman beat the hell out of him until he knocked his teeth out. And so they installed those metal teeth, and he wrote damage on him like, "Oh, you've hurt me," blah blah blah. So at least that I can get behind, but he still kind of operates like a mobster drug lord, and I still don't care for that aspect. But the rest of him I'm okay with at this point, having seen him on film. I hope he's not in any, like, the Batman solo flick, honestly, because I think we need a Batman film without the Joker for once. And the Joker, to me, has been overused like insanely over the years. I would love to see a new Penguin or a new Riddler or, the Mad Hatter or, somebody from Batman's Rogues Gallery that somebody we haven't gotten in the 2000s or even in this decade. I'm not wanting to see another Joker in a Batman solo flick. Now, if they're going to do the Arkham setup or something along those lines and have like Riddler running the show in the background and then having all these other Bat villains kind of stuck in there, then I would be kind of okay with it. But I'm kind of honestly hoping that we get like a new Poison Ivy, new Riddler, a lot of these, maybe a new Mr. Freeze, something that's not cheesy and somebody that's in dire need of a restore or a new rendition in the film universes. I mean, we've had a Scarecrow, which was great. We had a Bane, which was great. We had a Catwoman, which was great. So I'm perfectly fine not revisiting those or the Joker in the Batman solo flick. I'm hoping that they go a different route. I honestly am. If they go Riddler, they could actually test more of Batman's detective skills, which would be nice instead of just the face-pounding action that they have. But I do enjoy that. Anyways, so I would honestly say that my favorite franchise film this year, and Jason Bourne was kind of a recycle of Bourne 3, but it was updated for modern technology, so that was even nice. But to me, the best franchise film we got this year is Star Trek Beyond. You know, I'm not saying this as a Trekkie because I'm not a big supporter of the Kelvin universe and the Abrams universe of the films. I do like the first one. I do like the casting that they got. I do like... I don't like the second film, like Into Darkness at all, because it's just... I've stated this a million times. I'm not going to go into it. But Star Trek Beyond felt like the original series episode that was like a two-parter. But it also felt like you had aspects of Generations with the saucer section crashing onto the planet. You had, which was also kind of a Star Trek 3 moment where the Enterprise is destroyed in space. But it felt fresh how they did it. And then they had a callback to something before Star Trek Enterprise, which was another nice nod. So again, in pertaining to the pre-Enterprise ship in Star Trek Beyond, I like that touch that they had in there to kind of... it was almost like Klingon bird of prey thing in Star Trek 3. But instead of just the core 7 or core 6, they had everybody. So that was kind of nice in that nod. And then the villain had a legitimate reason for hating the Federation, and I liked the explanation behind that. So it was almost like a Star Trek II Wrath of Khan moment with like a callback to an original series type setup of dumping on a planet, and then the Federation forgot about them, and then, you know, havoc happened. So it was one of those nice nods too in that. So I really enjoyed that. It felt like a nice standalone film. They kind of nodded at the fact that it's, you know, during the 5-year mission, and made fun of the fact that everything's episodic. And they kind of made it seem like it was close, or it was the end of the 5-year mission. So I like that, and then I like the Enterprise A. Although I wish they would have gotten like a more classic Enterprise A style to it, but I'm not complaining. I got the Enterprise A back again, and that's my favorite Enterprise. Even though it's the same ship as the Enterprise 1701, it's just, you know, they slapped the A on it. So I like the ship for that reason. But no, I would say that was probably the most solid franchise film because we didn't have... there wasn't a lot of baggage to it. I mean, you if you knew Star Trek, you would understand it. But that's really all you needed to know. You didn't have to know any of the previous films to really get anything out of that. Whereas every other film that's come out this year, it's been a building block upon something else. Other than, you know, Deadpool, which to me was the favorite superhero movie. So I'm just curious what your guys' thoughts are on you know, the franchise films, superhero films, as far as this year, of what your thoughts are on that. Because I'm sure in some regards I'm the minority on some of the thinking there, but you know, it's one of those nice little things. Everybody has an opinion, and it's fun to hear everybody's opinion and reasonings for things, because sometimes it helps sway me in a different direction. Because I do plan on checking out some other TV shows. Like I've been watching Limitless, which I can't remember if I mentioned last week or not. But I've really enjoyed the show, and I know it got canceled, but at least then I know I'm not having a long-term commitment with the show, and I get to enjoy it regardless. So there's that. So also I asked the question of what did you think of Suicide Squad or Star Trek Beyond, which nobody's answered yet, and I've kind of already answered my thoughts on it. You know, and I really didn't get into Suicide Squad, but because I jumped into Batman v Superman and Batman solo flick, but I enjoyed the flashback moments and how they were portrayed. I think people were being too harsh on that because it was showing how people got locked up in prison. I like the end credit scene with Amanda Waller and Bruce Wayne, which was a nice nod. And then because it was almost kind of a Tony Stark Incredible Hulk moment between the General and Tony. And then we get kind of throughout the film, I felt like the Joker was only in there for Harley Quinn's purposes, or to save her constantly, which was just kind of annoying and it was kind of jarring for the film. Deadshot and Harley Quinn were really the only saving graces for this film, and the rest of it, I'm sad to say, wasn't really that great. The villain wasn't... I don't know. I felt like we didn't get to see enough of these characters before they got thrown into the fray, and then they, I didn't feel like I understood any of them, like, without having previous comic knowledge. And I think that that's kind of where they failed at this film, as opposed to Marvel, because Marvel kind of gives you that background into all of them. I'm not saying I hated the movie, but it wasn't as good as I was expecting. I think we've all been spoiled by Marvel's like stellar storytelling, and even Fox's to some degree. But I feel like we kind of got, I don't know. I don't feel like it was that great of a film. And so, yeah. So I'm going to move on. Getting into some other geeky news, since I'm on that tirade at the moment. Let me find my... There we go. So we got a screenshot of Transformers 5 Megatron. My whole thing with him is I think that this is the first time we've gotten a Megatron that actually fits the look of Megatron. And when I say that, yes, he's still got that garbly looking design that Michael Bay has created. However, I have to say I'm really loving it because, one, he's got the fusion cannon built on his right arm. He's got his Energon axe, which isn't really an Energon axe. It's a handheld. So I'm fine with that. He's got his head, which from the earlier shot looked like a Predator-looking thing because of the angle they showed it at. This actually reminds me of the Transformers Prime Megatron in a lot of aspects here. So he looks more like a knighted armor type thing, and I like this look a lot more for Megatron. I could get behind more, because even Prime kind of looks like Prime, but like everybody else, I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're moving in the right direction anyway, with the more plating on them and less the kibble of the robotics. So I'm really optimistic now from seeing this Megatron and I hope that they get Welker. I really do. I'm not a big proponent of weaving, but I know they haven't had weaving, so we should be all right. So I'm going to move on to a little bit other topics here. Ghostbusters 2, not going to happen. Unfortunately, Ghostbusters 1 only, it's very shy of its making its money back. Granted, it hasn't been released anywhere else yet, but they're kind of hedging their bets there. It's probably not going to happen. They're probably going to go to the animated route and do the animated Ghostbusters movie and kind of move on with that direction. So, Aquaman, they've released who the villain's going to be, and surprise, surprise, it's going to be Black Manta. Like nobody saw that coming. Like the solo Aquaman movie, like to me, that's the only villain I know that Aquaman has is Black Manta. So like it makes sense that he's going to be the villain. It's like Joker and Batman. It's kind of that dynamic. So not surprised, but nice to see that they're taking Aquaman seriously. Although he needed more grit. The other superheroes didn't, so I'm waiting to see what they do with that stuff. Ocean's 8. So we've had Ocean's 11, 12, and 13 with George Clooney. This one is Sandra Bullock's Ocean's movies. My guess is they're going to go Ocean's 8, 9, and 10. So we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, they've cast a bunch of other actresses in it. I'm guessing, because obviously it's going to be 8 women that are doing the heists. I'll see it. but I don't think it's going to pan out very well. And as bad as I hate to say this, people in media and in film are sexist to some degree. And I'm not saying like I'm on either side of the bandwagon, because I'm not. I think it's going to bomb personally, but I think it's because, one, they're trying to take an established franchise. Like, whenever they have an all-men's group and an all-women's group, it never really pans out for the women. And it's unfortunate how that plays out. But the men's group is always going to do more, which, again, that's another unfortunate. But I think instead of doing the all-men's group and all-women's group, they should combine them and kind of make a nice mixture of the two. Like I was suggesting for Ghostbusters, they should have taken maybe, like some old blood and passing of the torch type thing. Like, yeah, we've been doing this for 30 years, time to retire, and this is my niece, and this is her friend, and this is, and so on. They got cherry-picked people to be the new Ghostbusters and kind of had a passing in the, changing of the guard type thing. So, I mean, like, this, I know it's totally unrelated to Ocean's 8, but Ocean's 8, I'm hoping it does well for him, but, I mean, and I'm going to see it, not in theater, but I'm going to see it. But I don't think it's going to pan out very well. And I think if they did maybe had Danny Ocean in there again and had some other people, maybe Ocean, George Clooney and like one or two other people like Matt Damon or Cheeto or somebody in there with some high-profile men with some high-profile women, and it had that nice mixture of the two, the things that, because Bullock is a draw and, to people, and they've got Rihanna in it, and they've got some other people, I'm not quite sure who, but, so if they kind of had a nice mixture of, like, A-listers doing this, of both men and women, I think it could pan out really well, but I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. But, here's hoping. Another thing, Star Trek Discovery, because it's Star Trek's 50th anniversary, we're posting a bunch of stuff. And this might give me some hate, and you can send feedback. But Brian Fuller confirms there will be a gay character in Star Trek Discovery, which, why this is a thing, and this goes back to the Star Trek Beyond. It feels like they're trying to cater to people rather than just making it a normal everyday piece of life. Instead of just having it be a naturalistic thing that's just there, they're broadcasting it like, look, we're PC, we have gay people. Like, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm saying that they should just make it natural so that it's just, nobody thinks about it. So yeah, as far as the gay character is on Star Trek Discovery, and I think this kind of sums it up for everybody. It's supposed to be the future. It's supposed to not... There's supposed to be diversity and different variations of things and people and species. So, Film Lad on Twitter says, no one cares anymore, which is true. Nobody does. It's, why do we have to not make something natural and in the story and just... It's not a thing. It's just there, It doesn't have to be like brought up to the forefront, but that's just that's stupid. And I'm not saying that gay people are stupid at all. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the fact that media and the film industry has to make it like a thing when it could just be natural. I mean, they've had Will and Grace in the 90s, and it was a thing then because it had never been a thing before. But now it should just be kind of commonplace. But they make it out to be a bigger deal than it has to be. So that aside, Star Trek Discovery posted, because of the TCA 16 on Twitter, the series will be 13 episodes and start in January 2017 on CBS All Access, with the first episode on CBS itself. I posted a Twitter... questionnaire on there asking more so what people thought, whether they would pay for the app or whether they wouldn't. And so far, the only thing I have, there's 4 votes on my thing so far. You can check it out on Geekcast Radio's Twitter or my Twitter at SCP21. It was posted 8/11. So 25% said not paying extra to watch it. 50% says, yes, I'll pay for the app. The other 25% says, wait for another avenue, which I'm not paying to watch it. I'm waiting for another avenue, whether it's Netflix or it's bootleg. And I hate saying that because I want to support the shows themselves. But if it's not on traditional local television cable channels, I'm not going to watch it because on that channel, like The Flash, Supergirl, Supernatural, Arrow, Legends, Last Man Standing, all these shows, I try and watch them on television. I hate commercials, but I'll watch them on television because I don't want to essentially, kill the show because of the ratings. I don't want to be a contributor to the death of a show. But unfortunately, yes, I'm happy that it's 13 episodes. Yes, I'm happy that it's coming back to television. I'm not happy that it takes place between Enterprise and Kirk, the original series. I think that that's kind of asinine to go back that far. It's like they want to drudge in this past history of Trek, but they don't want to go into anything new. And I think it's because anything new is going to require money. But this already looks like it's going to require money anyway, even though the ship looks like total garbage. I made an image that I put together online a couple weeks ago, and I more or less posted the fact that they took the ship from Star Trek Planet of the Titans concept show and recycled it for Star Trek Discovery, and it looks like a Klingon warbird. The back end of the ship flipped upside down, and they put a saucer section on it, and you have the new Discovery starship, which, yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. I think it's stupid. I don't necessarily agree with going back, and I don't like the design of the ship. But yes, it's different, but I don't know. It looks clunky and looks cheap. Enterprise looked better than that. That's supposed to be an outdated ship. So anyways, they said it will feature more aliens in the cast than in the past. The series will uphold tradition of diverse cast, which it's always had a diverse cast. They've always had some various aliens in it. Enterprise is pretty diverse. They had, Voyager. They had, all of them have had a couple of diverse characters, whether they're, TNG had 3 different aliens. Star Trek, the original series, is the only one that really had, they had one female cast member, and then they had, there was a mainstay, and it was African American, and they had 6 male, and they were white. One was supposed to be Russian, one Scottish, but they were different ethnicities, but not different species. They were all human, except for Spock, who was half human. But so yeah, that's fine. Each episode is a chapter. Within each chapter will be a beginning, middle, and end, which that's like any episode of Star Trek. Although it's supposed to link together like an overarching 13 episode miniseries type thing. So moving on into something else. I forgot this in the Transformers 5 stuff, but DJ Valentine, who just recently did a Transformers the Movie commentary with TFG and Mike on all things Transformers, and I did a quick 10-minute spot at the beginning because it's the 8 years of all things Transformers this week, or actually the week of the 11th. So it's pretty entertaining. But DJ brought up the fact that, did they forget about their own canon? And they said Megatron was Galvatron at the end of the last dumb film of Transformers 4, and he had a different design and so on. And then Unicron.com, who he was questioning because they posted the image of Megatron, says, I also asked several people about Galvatron on the set, and each gave me a blank, unknowing look, which means nobody pays attention to canon in the Transformers films, which is ridiculous considering they have an actual writing team that's supposed to handle everything now in their cinematic universe, and yet they can't figure out. I don't necessarily have a problem with the fact that they're retconning Galvatron, but at least give an explanation for it, or say that it became a rogue robot or something, and Megatron is somewhere in there and they have to fish him out or something. I don't know. Maybe they'll have an explanation in Transformers 5. I don't know. It's too early to tell. This is why I typically stay away from rumors and topics like this, but I was interested because of the design of Megatron. So, Hulu, in a surprising turn of events, has made it so that their free streaming is no longer free. You can no longer watch Hulu unless you have a subscription. Unless you go to Yahoo, who somehow managed to partner and team with Hulu to have free TV streaming service, which I don't totally understand because Yahoo hasn't been relevant in almost 20 years. Google's pretty much wiped the floor with them. Their search went down the toilet. Their news went down the toilet because you can go almost anywhere for that now. I mean, MSN seems to be more on top of it than Yahoo. I don't honestly know how that company stays afloat because nothing they do is really relevant anymore. But I could be wrong. I mean, if there's something that I'm missing there, I mean, just let me know. And Nintendo, I don't know if people heard, but Nintendo Power was on the Internet Archive. They posted like 20 years of Nintendo Power for people to just widely view because obviously you can't purchase them anymore. You can't find them. You can't read them. Nothing. And for people that are feeling nostalgic and playing the old games still, Nintendo took down the entire archive of Nintendo Power from Internet Archive, which I kind of get because it's their proprietary product that was being given away for free, but I would think it would also be under a fair use now, considering they won't sell it and it's not available, and it's like the stuff is like 20 years out of print. So if you're not going to supply it, people are going to steal it. So why not give it to them for free? I don't know. Companies are just so retarded in some of this thinking. Instead of trying to, I don't know, maybe sell the whole, kibosh of it, or have a service where people can pay for it, because people would pay for it to get, a digital form of it. But to not, just to shut out your fan base like that is kind of, I don't know, just kind of wrong. So moving into something else that I do like. So they mentioned that The Flash is going to have Black Racer and Mirror Master in the show, which I think is a nice turn of events there. I do like that they're also going to make it so Barry forgets some of his powers and starts... They said that his memory is going to start getting replaced by current timeline stuff, since he's redesigned the timeline around himself by saving his parents and locking up Reverse Flash, who also saves Harrison Wells in that essence. So I think that he's going to have Reverse Flash help him go back and rewrite the timeline when they do fix it, but it's going to leave a totally different dynamic. Plus, you're going to have Wally West as the Flash somehow in this universe, which doesn't really explain much. But I'm really enthusiastic for season 3 because it sounds like they're actually aiming to change things and put things up an extra notch for the show, and I think that can only help things. Plus, I hope that the Arrow, Arrow and Supergirl and Legends and all these mesh together rather nicely with the Flashpoint paradox. But maybe he collapses all the universes upon themselves and ends up with some normalcy between them. And maybe he'll end up with one of his parents alive again. I mean, hell, Supernatural did that just recently too. Like at the end of their season, they revived Mary Winchester, which don't really understand how that's going to play out in the next season. But I wish they would have brought back their father, John Winchester, who's playing Negan right now on The Walking Dead. But maybe they'll do that in the future. Who knows? They both were incinerated by fire, and they had God return them to the living, or the darkness. I don't know. TV has gotten so weird lately, like just with the convoluted storylines and all the time travel and all the revivals and all the various stories like that. I enjoy them all. It's getting hard to keep track of it all in my head. I have so many different shows I've watched, and unfortunately I retain like every season's bit of information on every show I watch. So I can tell you practically anything on any show I watch, and it drives me bonkers because when my wife wants to go back and watch something, she's a clean slate. I am an encyclopedia. So it pains me to sit there. I mean, I'll forget the little minute details of things that might play out into something bigger later. But I'll remember the overall arc. I'll remember the overall plot, what happens to the characters and so on. Who dies, who lives, who dies what season, who dies, all of that. I'll remember all of it, but I won't remember little details. I wish sometimes I could forget shows because then I could purge from my memory a lot of old stuff that I don't need. It's only taken me until recently to forget the entire 151 Pokemon in their order. I still remember some of them, but it's very blotchy now. I think after time you forget, but moving on. So, as most of you know, I play Battlefield 4 on PC on Origin and on Xbox Live. My name on the PC version is Steve-Megatron. Or Steve Megatron, one of the two. The other one on Xbox Live is BW Megatron, for Beast Wars Megatron. It's an old name I made. I can't get rid of it and change it, so that's just what I've had to stick with. So anyways, I've been doing that a lot lately. I got to play with Stone Mountain 64's team a couple weeks ago, probably about a week ago. So that was pretty entertaining. And then, I got to have a lot of fun doing that. And then I've been playing really well the last few nights when I play. And then the Xbox one I'm really loving because I've got access to all the maps now, so I can sit on my couch and play. So as I was stating with playing the Battlefield 4, I've really been enjoying playing the game, more so because I've been on all these different platforms and playing it a lot. I've gotten really decent over the last, few months especially because I've been playing more online, more competitively. I've learned the maps, pretty good. There's some maps that I still don't know all the little corners and the hiding spots. There's some maps I know the entire layout, and I have certain aspects of the map that I like to destroy first, because if I do, it causes problems later for other people, and it works out well to my scheme, you could say, because it's extra hiding space for me. But it also stops me from being picked off from buildings or tops of things. Yeah, with that being said, I've gotten really good at it. I enjoyed the Battlefield 1 alpha that was out, the closed alpha, which only a select group of people were invited. And like I said, 3 people from my clan had it, myself included, which was spectacular. I loved the game. It's really fun to play. Pretty well-rounded. I can't wait for the beta, which I'm assuming is going to come out soon, only for the fact that we had the information drop recently about Battlefield Teams. Battlefield Teams is more so going to, or squads, not teams. I don't know where I'm getting some of this speech pattern right now. But anyways, they're going to have Battlefield squads lives at Gamescom in Germany. And they're going to have August 16th, they're going to have at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, they're going to have a video live from Gamescom with more Battlefield 1 gameplay, new map, horses, the trains, various aspects that were missing from the alpha or still in testing. And they have a specialized gun that can take out a tank in one hit pretty much, or a couple hits, kind of like the MLAW and or the rocket launcher, something like that, but for Battlefield 1. So that'll be nice to see kind of come out into the forefront of the game. And I'm hoping because it's an open beta, everybody's going to be able to play, which will be nice. So I'll be playing Battlefield 1 during the open beta when it comes out. I'm assuming, like I said, it's going to come out more than likely because the game comes out in October, and they only had the closed alpha open for about 2 weeks. And I played about 9 of those days. And I'm sure there were certain people that had it an extra week, like Stone Mountain or people like that. But as for myself, like I only had it about 9 days, 10 days, if that. But I'm assuming that the beta will be out shortly after Battlefield Squads debuts, because after they showed off that footage the last time during E3, it was about 2 weeks later that they had the closed alpha coming out, and I was like, man, I'd love to play that, and then I all of a sudden got access, so it was really, really sweet to play. So I'm thinking if it's going to do it this month, because it comes out at the end of October 21st, which I still cannot afford to buy it because it's $59, and I am hemorrhaging money left and right because of just life finances. Just kicking me while I'm down. I don't make much, and it's just hammering me right now. I really need side work, something terrible to stay afloat. I'm also on Fiverr and Patreon, but I don't expect people to pay for my life living and stuff. I do this for fun. But I would take money gladly, I'm not going to lie. But, so yeah, I'm assuming the beta is going to be out around like maybe the 26th of this month, if it's going to come out this month. If not, it'll probably be out the 2nd of well, it might be out like the 22nd or 26th, somewhere in that week, or it'll be in the 29th to the 2nd of September, is when I'm assuming the beta will be out for a couple weeks. So it'll be really fun. I can't wait to play on a horse. I can't wait to get the special tank destroyer, to drive a train, to really get in there and play the game again and do some screen, like, just play kind of thing. I really can't wait to do some live streams again with it. I had a lot more fun in Battlefield 1 than I do in Battlefield 4, but I think it's Battlefield 4 is kind of old hat at this point. I think everybody's used to it. I think it's gotten to be super easy for some people like myself. I was terrible a year ago when I started playing around this time. I'm really decent now. I know two of my maps that there's select maps I love, which Pearl Market's one of them. I love Operation Locker and Operation Metro 2014. Those are like my two go-to maps. Like if I have a choice to play any map, I will play those two maps. Operation Metro is like my number one. Operation Locker is my number two, and then like Pearl Market's 3. And then I'll take like Siege of Shanghai for number 4, and then everything else is below that. Like I'm sure there's a couple other maps that I just can't think of right now. There's one where you fight in partially a cave and you're out, like the cave is like the center of the map and you can kind of go around it. I love that level too. I just can't remember the name of it. That's like my number 5. But that aside, like I'm excited to see, because they're gonna have a new trailer drop. They're gonna have the open beta come out. They're gonna have the squads information. You can sign up by going to the Battlefield Insiders and get early access to the beta. And then they're saying that the live streaming will start at 3 p.m. on August 16th, and they're flying out various YouTubers that play the game to play it. I hope at some point I get to be one of those lucky members that gets to get flown out and play these games, but only time will tell, I guess. So yeah, that aside, I don't really think there's anything else I'm going to talk about this episode. If there's anything you'd like to hear me kind of discuss or talk about or bring up or have a conversation with you guys, I would love to have that feedback. You can send it to @Altered Geek on Twitter or @SCP21 on Twitter, or you can email me, feedback@geekcastradio.com, or you can go to the alteredgeek.com website. I've been going through kind of renovating the website lately. I really wanted to portray this without having to, like, the commenting for the posts will still be on geekcastradio.com because it's just a centralized location for all of you to kind of converse. Alteredgeek.com, you can still see all the same stuff. I import it from Geekcast Radio, so don't feel like you're obligated to switch sites to comment. But I have everywhere that you can get the, I have the Altered Geek podcast on there. I have the Altered Gaming video streams. videos placed on the main page, so like the newest one will pop up every time there's a new episode. I also have where you can listen to the podcast, which is Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, which I'm trying that out with a trial. It's like $5 a month, so I'm trying that out just to see if that works, because through that you can also get it syndicated through iHeartRadio, but you got to pay for Spreaker to get. Well, let me rephrase that. You don't have to get Spreaker, but they only support 5 hours for free of audio, and being that most of my podcasts go over like an hour and a half, it wouldn't support, and you have to have 5 episodes minimum for iHeartRadio to even look at you. So I had to do the $4.99 to get 100 hours, so I could import more than 5 episodes so that iHeartRadio would even look at it. So that's why that's there. That may go away. It just depends on if the iHeartRadio thing pans out. And I have it on TuneIn, and then I of course have the RSS feed. And then I have the gaming and support, which the Geekcast Radio website is listed on there because obviously that's where this podcast is. I got YouTube Gaming directly to the gaming.youtube.com. I got the youtube.com/Altered Geek Entertainment. My twitch.tv /Steve Megatron, the Patreon, and then the District Lines, which I'm trying to get that fixed right now. I'm waiting to hear back from them. I'm trying to start a store on there to get content or merchandise put on there, because I personally like to buy some for myself and for giveaways. And then underneath that I have Pitch Us a Story, which, story, subject, topic, whatever you want to put in there, you can send it to stories at Geekcast or alteredgeek.com, which, again, it gets forwarded to me anyways. Or you can fill out the form with your name, email, subject, and the message, and I'll get it through that way as well. Just another avenue that you can try. Not saying that you have to, but that's just another place to get the stuff. So, yeah, and be sure to support our sponsor, which is Loot Crate. This month's theme is the anti-hero. So it's like Archer, Dark Horse, Kill Bill, stuff like that. So it's $19.99. You can use the coupon code TBV to save $3 off your box. You can sign up, and it's for first-time users only that they give this discount. So it's, the anti-hero for August. Walk the hero villain line with its 100% exclusive collection of items from DC Comics, Archer, Dark Horse, and Kill Bill, and include 2 great collectibles, a wearable, and of course, a monthly tee. Don't forget the pin. So you can sign up by going to lootcrate.com/GCRN. So, again, that rounds it out. If you'd like to comment or suggest anything for the show, let me know. Let me know what you think about the Star Trek Discovery stuff, whether you care, whether you don't. What your favorite superhero or your franchise film is of this year that you felt like stood the strongest on its own. And let me know what you think about, like, Suicide Squad and some of that stuff. Because, like, I'm not like a huge proponent on that, but I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna bash it. I don't hate it. It's not terrible. It's not my thing per se. Let me know what you think. And until next time, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.